The truth about the origins of the Jewish people. Where did they actually come from? It can be said that the Jewish people are a nation with a very special fate. They are frequently mentioned in the Bible as the chosen people of God and are considered one of the most intelligent ethnic groups in the world. However, the Jewish people have also endured a series of tragedies throughout their existence and development, such as oppression, massacres, and exile. Despite this, Jewish cultural history retains a powerful vitality, inspiring curiosity and research among countless scholars worldwide from ancient times to the present. Let's explore the origins of the Jewish people along with the tragedies they have faced in the past, as well as some of their current issues. Before we begin the video, we'd like to offer a small note. The number of works written about the Jewish people is vast. Therefore, in this video, we will summarize and present information to the best of our ability. If there are any shortcomings, we hope you'll understand and forgive us. The origin of the name Israel. The Bible or Holy Scriptures are terms used to refer to the sacred texts of various faiths, often those originating from Abrahamic religions. Both Judaism and Christianity refer to their holy texts as the Bible. The Jewish people call their Bible the Tanakh. This document consists of 24 books divided into 3 sections: the Torah, Law, the Prophets, and the Writings. It is a reliable document, though not the first to mention the name Israel. The name Israel first appears on the Merneptah stele. This stele dates back to 1209 BCE, during the Late Bronze Age and Early Iron Age, erected by Pharaoh Merneptah, the 5th pharaoh of the 19th dynasty of ancient Egypt. The stele differs from other place names like Ashkelon, Gezer, and Yarmuk, which are written clearly. Israel is written in hieroglyphs to refer to a group of people living in what is now central Palestine, or the Samaria Highlands. In the Hebrew Bible, the term Israelites is used interchangeably with the 12 tribes of Israel. The terms Jew and Israelite, though related, are not always interchangeable. Israelites typically refers to those described in the Hebrew Bible as direct descendants of the patriarch Jacob, later called Israel, and his sons, and their offspring. As a nation, they are collectively called Israel, including converts who worship Yahweh. In contrast, Jew often denotes the direct ancestors of the Israelites living in Canaan, namely the Israelites and their descendants, including both Jews and Samaritans. Jew specifically refers to the descendants of the Israelites who reunited when the tribe of Judah absorbed the remnants of the northern tribes of Israel. In Judaism, Israelite broadly refers to followers of the Jewish faith. In Jewish legal texts like the Mishnah and Gemara, Judah, meaning Jew, is rarely used. Instead, nation or Israelite is more commonly employed to refer to Jews. Samaritans, however, never call themselves Jews, but rather Israelites, describing themselves as Samaritan Israelites. The birth of the chosen people. When discussing Jewish history, we cannot overlook their faith and historical origins, as these are 2 rare highlights that have kept them united despite thousands of years of wandering. The birth of their faith. The Jewish people trace their origins to the ancient Hebrews, who emerged in the Middle East around 4,000 years ago. According to legend, Jews and Arabs are descendants of Abraham's birth name. Abraham followed God's call, leaving his homeland in the northern Mesopotamian city of Ur, now southeastern Turkey, to settle in Canaan, the area now known as Palestine, stretching from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea. Around 2000 BC, according to the book of Exodus in the Bible, Abraham and his family left Ur for Haran. There, Abraham saw God in a dream and was directed to Canaan. The history of the Jewish people began with Abraham's family story. They grew into a clan, then a tribe, and eventually established roots there to become a nation, the Jewish people. According to the Bible, God created the earth and then humankind. The first humans were Adam and Eve, whose descendants included Noah, Noah's eldest son, Shem, became the ancestor of both Jews and Arabs. Hence, the term Semitic emerged to collectively describe Jews and Arabs as descendants of Shem. Abraham was a descendant of Shem. Later, Abraham married Sarah, but had no children, so he took Hagar as a second wife. Hagar bore him a son, Ishmael. Meanwhile, Sarah miraculously conceived and gave birth to Isaac. Sarah then urged Abraham to expel Hagar and Ishmael from the tribe. The Islamic Quran closely follows the Old Testament up to this point before diverging. According to the Quran, Ishmael went to Mecca, and his descendants spread across the Arabian Peninsula, becoming Muslims. Isaac's descendants remained in Canaan and became the ancestors of the Hebrews, later known as Israelites. For centuries, despite their shared origins, Muslims and Jews have harbored deep enmity. Could this be a curse placed upon the fates of Jews and Arabs by God? Returning to Abraham's family after his death, leadership passed to his son Isaac, then to Isaac's son Jacob. Jacob had 12 sons, and together, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Jacob's 12 sons are known as the patriarchs, the ancestors of the Jewish people. The name Israel first appears in the Bible in connection with Jacob. One night, Jacob dreamed of wrestling with a stranger, who, bearing God's likeness, blessed him and named him Israel, meaning he who struggles with God. From then on, the Hebrews were called Bnei Israel, or Israel, meaning children of Israel, or Israelites. Over time, starting with Abraham, monotheism, and the Jewish people gave rise to the three largest and most influential religions in the world. First came Judaism around 1500 BCE, then Christianity, founded by Jesus in the mid-1st century as a branch of Judaism. Finally, Islam was established by the Prophet Muhammad in the 6th century. Though not originally a direct offshoot of Judaism or Christianity, Islam considers itself their perfect continuation and replacement. The emergence of these three religions, along with sacred texts like the Bible, the most widely read book of all time, the Torah, called the Old Testament in Christianity, inspired 14 million Jewish followers, 2 billion Christians, and is recounted in the Quran for 1.5 billion Muslims. Historical origins. Canaan, now Palestine, lies at the crossroads of civilizations, connecting Africa, Europe, and Asia. If modern humans are believed to have originated in the Dark Continent, Africa, then the ancestors of all Asians and Europeans must have passed through this land. As empires rose, Canaan became a strategic location, a corridor between sea and desert, offering merchants and conquering armies a unique passage through vast nations. Fierce battles raged in and around Palestine, making it both a curse and a blessing for the small nations living there, including the ancestors of the Jews and Palestinians. Like the Palestinians, there is little physical evidence of the earliest Jews. Much of what we know comes from the Torah, a historical reference, though with limitations. A compelling hypothesis suggests the ancient Jews or Hebrews, descendants of the patriarch Jacob, were a blend of Canaanites and Habiru or Shasu Berber peoples from Mesopotamia. Over time, they appear to have reached a level of civilization, developing a language and script, Hebrew. The Canaanites also developed the world's first consonantal alphabet in the 17th and 18th centuries BCE. Other theories propose the Israelites originated as nomadic peoples, ethnically distinct groups like the Habiru and Shasu, recorded in Egyptian texts as active in Edom and Canaan, may relate to later Israelites. The name Yahweh, the God of the Israelites, may hint at ties to the Seir Mountains in Edom. Thus, modern Jews might have dual origins, migrants from Mesopotamia and nomadic peoples from Egypt. However, most scholars and Israeli records lean toward the Mesopotamian origin hypothesis. A 4,000-year history of turmoil. Throughout the second millennium BCE, Canaan, now Palestine, was influenced by powers like Egypt to the south and Babylon and Mesopotamia to the north. These powers wielded advanced military technology and vast trade networks, affecting the Mediterranean region across Africa, Asia, and Europe in both material, art, architecture, and spiritual ways. The 400-year migration in Canaan. A century after Abraham, around 1700 BCE, during Jacob's time, Canaan suffered famine and scarcity. The Jews migrated again, seeking new lands. Egypt, with the fertile Nile Delta, was the Mediterranean's breadbasket and a promised land for neighboring peoples during hardship. Jacob's entire clan, about 70 people, migrated to Egypt. What began as a temporary refuge stretched into 400 years. Jacob's 12 sons settled in Goshen, Egypt's fertile region. The Jews transitioned from nomadism to settled agriculture. Over time, their numbers grew from 70 to hundreds of thousands, alarming the Egyptians, who feared their growth might threaten the nation. Later pharaohs turned against them, enslaving and exploiting them. Though Egyptian records never mention Jews along the Nile, and the Bible is silent on the 400 years between Joseph, Jacob's eldest son, and Moses, this does not disprove their presence in Egypt. Amid the Jews' brutal enslavement, a savior emerged like a miracle, Moses, in the 15th to 14th centuries BCE. According to the Bible, Moses, an extraordinary figure, led the Jews in the exodus from Egypt back to Canaan. There they lived alongside peoples like the Philistines to the north, Arabs to the east, and other Semitic nomads. Around 1175 BC, a new group, the Philistines, an advanced people settling along Canaan's southern coast, disrupted the region's fragile ethnic balance, possibly foreshadowing modern Palestinians. The books of Joshua and Judges describe the Jews' early life after returning to Canaan as an agricultural, tribal, and egalitarian society. They organized under a loose republican system called Edah, akin to a council or assembly. Tribal boundaries shifted over time due to disputes with neighbors, though internal border conflicts were rare. However, Joshua subtly hints at a split between southern and northern tribes. Initially, the Jews had no king, united only by God's commandments. From around 1200 BCE to 1047 BCE, Jewish tribes lived by farming and herding, governed not by a state, but by patriarchal tradition. From 1043 to 1010 BCE, Saul became the first king of a united Israel. He was followed by David, Saul's son-in-law, who ruled from 1002 to 970 BCE, and then Solomon, David's son, from 970 to 931 BCE. Solomon's reign is considered a golden age. Canonically, the Torah was written down during his rule. Nationally, Solomon divided Israel into 12 regions and developed it into a prosperous hub. The First Dispersion. After Solomon's death, the United Kingdom of Israel split into two: the Kingdom of Judah in the south, home to the Jerusalem Temple, and with Jerusalem as its capital, and the Kingdom of Israel in the north, with Samaria as its capital, controlling Samaria, Galilee, and parts of the Jordan Valley. By 720 BC, the northern kingdom of Israel was invaded by the Assyrian Empire, a Mesopotamian power based at Nineveh on the upper Tigris. All 10 northern tribes were killed, exiled, or lost to history, an event known as the 10 Lost Tribes. The southern kingdom of Judah lasted longer but became vassals of Assyria before being destroyed by the Neo-Babylonian Empire's invading armies in 586 BCE. Jerusalem was razed, the temple leveled, and Judah's people were either killed or exiled to Mesopotamia, particularly Babylon. This marked the first dispersion of the ancient Jews and the end of the First Temple period. From here, the Jewish people faced near annihilation, their faith enduring a severe test. The Second Temple period. Around 538 BCE, Babylon and the Jews fell under Persian rule. Persian Emperor Cyrus the Great saw Palestine as a vital foothold, a bridge between West Asia and North Africa, ideal for attacking Egypt or buffering Greek invasions from the east. Thus, Cyrus freed the Jews in Babylon, allowing them to return to Jerusalem. The temple was rebuilt, and the final Hebrew Bible text was compiled. Rebuilding took about 20 years, with the temple's dedication in 515 BC, marking the start of what history calls the Second Temple period. Returning from Babylon, the Jews adopted Persian governance, establishing a priestly class based on Jewish scholars, forming a unique political religious unity in Palestine's religious history. Greek and Roman subjugation. After Persian rule, in the 5th century BCE, Canaan fell to Alexander the Great's Macedonian Empire, 336 to 323 BCE. During this time, blending Jewish tradition with Greek culture significantly shaped Jewish civilization, creating a unique culture with both Jewish and Greek traits. When the Seleucid Syrians imposed religious suppression on Jewish practices in Palestine, a revolt led by the Maccabees erupted in 166 BCE. The uprising succeeded, and the rebels gained control of Judea, the Greek and Roman name for Judah, then a Seleucid province. The Maccabees founded the Hasmonean dynasty, ruling from 164 to 63 BCE. They reaffirmed Judaism, expanded Judea's borders through conquests, and reduced Hellenization's influence. During this period, in the 2nd century BCE, Rome, founded in 753 BCE as a small kingdom around the Palatine Hill along the Tiber River in central Italy, grew into a mighty empire. After defeating the Macedonian and Seleucid empires in the 2nd century BCE, Rome dominated the Mediterranean and eyed the Middle East, including Judea. The 2,000-year dispersion. From 63 BCE onward, the Hasmonean kingdom weakened due to internal conflicts and fell under Roman rule. Rome's tyranny sparked repeated Jewish armed revolts. In 66 CE, tensions between Jews and Romans in Judah peaked, igniting a Jewish rebellion against Rome. Initially, the Jews prevailed, but the tide turned in 68 CE. Under Emperor Titus, Roman forces took the upper hand, defeating the Jewish rebels in Jerusalem by summer 70 CE. Thousands of Jews were killed or enslaved, the temple was razed, and most were exiled across the Roman Empire. This event marked the Second Dispersion, the end of the Second Temple period, and the collapse of Judah as the Jewish center. From this point, the Jews began a nearly 2,000-year exile across the world. After Roman rule, the region fell to the Byzantine Empire from 313 to 636 CC. From the 7th century to 1948, Canaan, now Palestine, was successively controlled by Arabs, 636-1099, Seljuks, 1099 to 1291, Crusaders, 1099 to 1291, Mamluks, 1291 to 1516, and the Ottoman Empire, 1517 to 1917. Finally, it came under British control from 1917 to 1948, with Arabs as the majority. Since 1948, Canaan/Palestine has been divided into two states, Israel for the Jews and Palestine for the Palestinian Arabs. Thus, after 2,000 years of wandering, the Jews gained their own state. Yet, as if cursed, whenever they have a state, it faces instability. Today, the Middle East remains one of the world's most volatile regions. Anti-Semitism. Beyond their millennia-long exile, the Jewish people have faced anti-Semitism throughout their history, a sensitive topic we'll address neutrally and objectively. Anti-Semitism, also called anti-Semitism, is prejudice or hatred toward Jews, taking many forms. Historically, It's defined as hostility or discrimination against Jews as a religious or ethnic group, considered the longest-standing hatred. Scholars identify 6 stages in its development. 1. Pre-Christian antisemitism in ancient Greece and Rome, primarily ethnic-based. 2. Christian antisemitism, spanning antiquity and the Middle Ages, religious in nature, extending into modern times. 3. Islamic antisemitism. 4. Economic antisemitism. 5. Racial antisemitism, emerging in the 19th century and peaking with Nazism, National Socialism. 6. Contemporary antisemitism, sometimes called New Antisemitism. These can be grouped into 3 types. Ancient antisemitism, ethnic-based. Christian antisemitism, religious-based. Racial antisemitism. Covering each stage fully exceeds 1 video scope, so we'll briefly touch on 20th century racial antisemitism, saving other aspects for a future video. Jews have faced discrimination throughout history, with the 20th century deemed their darkest era. From 1900 to 1924, about 1.75 million Jews migrated to the U.S., mostly from Eastern Europe, fleeing Russia's anti-Jewish pogroms, large-scale riots targeting Jews. In Germany, after Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party took power in 1933, laws stripped Jews of basic civil rights. The 1935 Nuremberg laws banned Aryan Jewish marriages, Aryan meaning superior in Nazi ideology, and revoked Jewish citizenship. Anti-Jewish laws, incitement, and propaganda spread across Nazi-occupied Europe. The Nazis maintained concentration camps across their territories before and during World War II. The first camps opened in Germany in March 1933, shortly after Hitler became Chancellor. The Holocaust, the deadliest Nazi atrocity against Jews, occurred during World War II, with 6 million Jews across Europe sent to camps and exterminated. The Holocaust remains the most traumatic wound for Jews, the world, and Germany itself in the 20th century and beyond. Mention of the Nazis evokes the Holocaust, and vice versa. Which nation rules the world? It's well known that Jews have excelled economically throughout history, otherwise they couldn't have survived 2,000 years of exile. Israel's current strength exemplifies their prowess. The Jewish community in the U.S. also showcases their success. With over 6 million Jews, 39% of the global Jewish population, they make up just under 2% of the U.S. population. In Forbes' 2022 list of the top 10 richest Jews, 7 were American Jews, with combined wealth in the trillions, including Larry Ellison, Oracle co-founder, Sergey Brin and Larry Page, Google co-founders, media mogul Michael Bloomberg, and the world's most dangerous man, Mark Zuckerberg. Since 1987, 3 Jews have chaired the U.S. Federal Reserve, the world's most powerful financial institution. Alan Greenspan, 1987 to 2006, trusted by 4 presidents. Ben Bernanke, 2006 to 2014, and Janet Yellen, 2014 to 2018. Their influence prompted the saying, "America's money is in Jewish pockets." This sway explains the White House's long-standing support and massive aid to Israel. Globally, many leading economic theorists are Jewish, their ideas shaping humanity's evolution. Karl Marx, who developed communist economic theory to replace capitalism, is dubbed one of 2 Jews who upended the world, the other being Jesus Christ. Views on the Palestine-Israel situation. Through this video, we'd like to share some personal perspectives on the current situation between Palestine and Israel. 1. From this video, and our prior one on Palestinians, neither Jews nor Palestinian Arabs are truly indigenous to Palestine. Neither side claims to be a distinct nation with a long-standing, uninterrupted state tied to this land. As noted previously, Palestine was a regional name later applied to its inhabitants. Not all Palestinians are Arabs. They include Jews, Druze, and others. When Jews established Israel, the majority Palestinian Arabs rose to claim self-determination, retaining Palestine to represent the region's people. 2. Before Israel and Palestine were established, in the early 20th century under British Mandate Palestine, the area had about 600,000 Christians and Muslims and 70,000 Jews. Before 1948, there were no broad claims for a Palestinian or Israeli state. It was a multi-ethnic desert region with no nation aspiring to statehood. By 2022, it housed over 7.1 million Jews and 5 million Palestinian Arabs, alongside narratives about both groups. Thus, today's conflicts and ethnic narratives are a recent, artificial phenomenon, emerging within the last century. In summary, the concepts of Palestinians, a Palestinian nation, or an independent Palestinian state lack deep historical roots. Likewise, Jews haven't lived here stably long-term. Israel today shows signs of imperialistic tendencies. That's the information we've gathered about Jewish origins. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, and see you in the next videos.